Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a genuinely intriguing journey. It's one that takes us across continents, really, and into some pretty profound questions about life, death, consequence.
The big ones.
Exactly. Our mission today is to unpack a truly unique and I think quite moving case study. It's the story of an 11-year-old German Thai boy, Daniel Plett.
Yeah, right.
And his incredibly personal observations about his own family life are going to lead us into this fascinating exploration of karmic connections, the intricate dance of cause and effect.
It's a powerful lens to look through.
It really is. So we're not just reporting facts here. We're trying to extract the core insights from Daniel's account and the expert analysis that goes with it to help us all understand these deep principles maybe in a new light.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, so let's set the scene. Daniel's world. He was born in Munich, Germany, back in August 2004.
Okay, Munich.
But even at a young age, his spiritual journey began quite early on. He actually had this amazing opportunity to become a novice monk at Wat Phu Tsub.
Wow, as a young boy, how did that come about?
Well, apparently a venerable teacher suggested that his ordination, this act of spiritual dedication, might build up merit, that positive energy from good deeds, which could potentially help his mother, who was ill at the time.
Ah, I see. So it was partly for his mother's benefit.
Exactly. And while he was there, he just immersed himself in learning about Dharma, the Buddhist teachings, the universal law, and really explored concepts like heaven and hell through this program they had, Kindergarten of Dreams, Not Dreams.
Interesting name for a program.
Isn't it? This whole experience just ignited this deep desire in him to become a monk for life. And here's where it gets, really interesting and maybe a bit unusual for a kid.
Okay.
He actually enjoys meditating with his friends in the graveyard.
In the graveyard, that's certainly different.
Right. He finds it peaceful, apparently. And he's actually planning to ordain again this year with the intention of being a monk for his entire life.
That's quite a commitment for someone so young.
It really is. Now, at the heart of Daniel's story and, this whole deep dive is his father's struggle. It was severe.
Okay.
His father was severely addicted to alcohol. We're talking 8 to 10 beers every single day, and a heavy smoker, too.
Wow, that's intense.
And even before Daniel's parents got married, his father, while drunk, caused a car accident. Tragically, an elderly man was killed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The father himself got injured, and his own grandmother had to pay for his treatment, the legal settlements, everything. And despite her pleading with him, he just couldn't quit drinking.
The addiction already had a strong hold then.
Absolutely. And after he married Daniel's mother, he continued to put alcohol first before his family. Daniel mentioned that when he and his sister would just try to play, like kids do, the father would often get angry, scold them.
That sounds incredibly difficult for the children.
Terribly. They felt really neglected. They just longed for, a simple hug or maybe a trip out for ice cream like other kids got. They lived in the same house, but Daniel said they never felt their father's warmth.
That's heartbreaking.
It is. And perhaps predictably, his father developed chronic alcoholism and then eventually laryngeal cancer. Throat cancer.
The consequences catching up.
Right. Even after surgery, doctors strictly telling him you have to quit alcohol, quit smoking. He just couldn't. The addiction was so deep. Apparently, he even snuck beer he'd hidden in his car from the hospital parking lot while he was supposed to be recovering.
Wow. That level of compulsion is just hard to fathom.
Totally. So the mother, understandably, completely stressed out by his behavior, seeing no hope for change, she ultimately filed for divorce.
A very difficult decision, I imagine.
Immensely. And here's a really poignant detail. The father, even though he'd been so neglectful, was apparently heartbroken to leave his family. He still wanted them, even if he couldn't be the father they needed.
The complexities of human emotion, even amidst addiction.
Exactly. And then, tragically, just a few days after leaving the family home, he died by suicide. He shot himself through the heart.
Oh, goodness.
Daniel's reflection on this, it's just so honest for a child. He said, look, they weren't close, but he still wanted a father. And he just wishes alcohol didn't exist for any child, anywhere.
Such a heavy burden for a young boy to carry, so much loss.
Absolutely. Now, on the other side of this, you have Daniel's mother. She's a non-drinker, non-smoker, described as truly kind-hearted.
Okay, the different presence entirely.
Very different. But she faced her own challenges. She was diagnosed with kidney cancer back in January 2004. It required removing her right kidney, and she needed daily injections.
Another major health crisis in the family.
Yes, but despite this really serious illness, Her outlook is described as remarkably positive. She's planning to use her health insurance money to create a Buddha image,
Hmm.
a personal statue, which is considered an act of making merit.
That's a very focused, positive intention.
It is, and she was apparently overjoyed, even cried, when Daniel first ordained and recited blessings in Pali. And now Daniel and his sister actually practice daily meditation together every evening at 8 p.m., listening to guided meditations.
That shared practice must be quite powerful for them.
And the good news is, her health is apparently improving significantly.
That is good news. A bit of light there.
Definitely. But the children, they also face their own health issues. Daniel's sister suffers from pollen allergies. Itchy eyes, itchy nose, watery eyes, runny nose, the usual stuff.
Okay, allergies. Common, but still troublesome.
And Daniel himself has asthma. He gets difficulty breathing when he has a cold, needs a bronchodilator to open his airways.
Asthma too. Okay.
So all of this whole complex picture has led Daniel to ask some incredibly deep questions for an 11-year-old.
I can imagine. What's he asking?
Things like, where did his father go after he died? What kind of karma could have led to his suicide? Did his mother get any negative karma for the divorce, especially since he took his own life afterwards?
Heavy questions.
And what caused his mother's kidney cancer? What about his sister's allergies, his own asthma? And maybe the biggest one for him personally. Why does he feel this incredibly strong pull, the spiritual calling, to be a monk for his whole life?
Wow. He's really trying to connect the dots.
He absolutely is. So yeah, what does this all mean? How do we even start to unravel these really complex threads of karma?
Well, those are truly powerful and, complex questions. And what's fascinating, looking at the analysis in our sources, is how it attempts to illuminate each piece of this family's story. Not as just random events, but as this interwoven tapestry of cause and effect.
Right, the interconnectedness.
Exactly. So let's start maybe with the father's karma and his afterlife, according to these sources. His suicide in this life, it's suggested, connects directly to a past life where he also took his own life.
Really? The same act?
Yes, though in that case it was by hanging, apparently stemming from despair over business and family problems then too.
Wow, so it's not just a one-off tragedy, but like a recurring pattern, almost a karmic tendency or imprint. That's the powerful idea.
Precisely. This habit, this tendency, you could say, to resort to suicide when facing extreme difficulties, unfortunately, seems to have carried over into this life. It's a stark illustration of how these deep-seated patterns can manifest across lifetimes. It's not just the single action, but the inclination itself that seems to perpetuate.
Okay, so what about immediately after his death in this life? Where did he go?
According to the analysis, his mind was deeply defiled, very troubled at the moment of death. And this state of mind led him directly to a realm called Mahanarak Kun Nuang. That translates roughly to Great Hell 1.
Great Hell 1, what happens there?
The description is quite graphic. He's forced to continuously reenact his suicide by gunshot. This is overseen by beings referred to as Naraban, sort of like hell wardens, who enforce these karmic consequences.
Constantly reliving it?
Yes. And alongside that, they're constantly forcing him to drink a hot, black, acidic liquid.
That sounds incredibly grim. And the duration. You mentioned these things last.
The duration mentioned is immense. This specific suffering in Great Hell 1 is said to last for 1 trillion human years.
1 trillion. That's a number so vast, it's almost meaningless to us. It really underscores the seriousness, doesn't it, that these teachings place on an act like suicide, driven by such a defiled mind state.
It absolutely does. The consequences described are profound and incredibly long-lasting. And after enduring that period...
There's more.
Yes. After that, he's then transferred to Mahanarak Kumha, which is Great Hell 5. This is said to be a direct consequence of his habitual drinking, the alcoholism.
Okay, so a different consequence for a different major negative action, and the suffering there.
Even more prolonged, according to the sources. 6,000 trillion human years in Great Hell 5.
6,000 trillion. It's almost impossible to comprehend. Now, you mentioned earlier Daniel's ordination merit and his mother making merit with the Buddha image. Do those good actions ever reach him? Or is his negative karma just too heavy?
That's a really crucial question. So those merits, Daniel's ordination, his mother's 1,000-year glass pillar, merit from creating the Buddha image, they haven't actually reached him yet.
Okay.
His negative karma is described as being currently too dense, too heavy, to allow those positive energies to penetrate and provide relief.
Yeah.
However, and this is important, the merits aren't lost.
Ah, okay, so where are they?
They are accumulated in waiting form in a place called Yamalak. This is often described as an intermediate realm, maybe like a celestial treasurer's office, a sort of holding place for merits, waiting until an opportunity arises when his suffering might lessen slightly, allowing them to be received.
So while the immediate picture is incredibly bleak, there's still a sense that the positive actions aren't wasted. They're just queued up, waiting for an opening.
Exactly. There's a sense of hope, however distant it might seem from that state of suffering.
Okay. So let's broaden the view now beyond just the father. What about the karmic threads connecting the whole family? You mentioned Daniel, his mother and sister.
Right. It turns out, according to this analysis, that the mother, sister, and Daniel himself all carried what's described as light residual karma related to consuming alcohol in past lives.
Oh.
Nothing like the father's level, but a subtle, energetic echo, you might say.
Ah, interesting. So it wasn't just the father dealing with alcohol karma.
No, there was this shared, though much lighter, karmic thread. And this subtle collective predisposition is seen as the reason they were born into a family unit with a father who, tragically, prioritized alcohol over them.
So that shared karma drew them together in this particular dynamic. Now, what about the mother's divorce? Daniel was worried she might incur negative karma for that, especially given what happened after.
Yes, and what's fascinating here, the analysis states clearly that the mother bears no negative karma for the divorce itself.
Not at all.
None. Her stress, her decision, it was a reaction to the father's own actions and his refusal or inability to change. His behavior, his addiction, his eventual suicide, those were the results of his own karma, both old karma from past lives, like the tendency toward suicide, and new karma created in this life through his actions.
So her intention was self-preservation and protecting her children, not malice.
Exactly. She acted out of a desire for well-being for herself and her children, given an untenable situation created by his karmic issues. The responsibility lies with his actions, not her reaction to them.
That's a really important distinction, I think. It moves beyond just, a bad thing happened after the divorce, so the divorce must have bad karma.
Yeah.
It looks at the root cause and the intentions.
Precisely. It suggests a much more nuanced understanding of responsibility and consequence.
Okay. Now let's shift to Daniel's other questions. His mother's kidney cancer, that's a serious physical illness. How does the karmic analysis explain that?
Here, the analysis points to a very distinct and, well, quite stark karmic root from a specific past life. In that past life, she was apparently a wealthy moneylender. She would accept land as collateral for loans, like a mortgage, but she charged exorbitant predatory interest rates.
Ah, usury.
Yes. And in one particular instance, a debtor couldn't repay the loan precisely because the interest was so cripplingly high. So she evicted them from their land.
Forcing them off their livelihood.
Exactly. And when the debtor resisted the eviction, she didn't just leave it at that. She actually sent thugs, hired hands, to severely injure them, physically harm them.
Wow, that's quite brutal.
It is. And this specific past action, causing severe physical harm to someone in the context of taking away their livelihood, their land, their lifeblood, you could say, is identified as the direct cause of her kidney cancer in this current life.
So there's that direct link again. Harm inflicted manifesting as a physical ailment in the area related to, well, filtering life, like the kidneys. It's almost metaphorical.
It often seems that way in these analyses, yes. A direct, almost symbolic link between the nature of the harmful action and the resulting physical consequence. It really underscores how direct harm, especially involving livelihood and physical well-being, can manifest quite specifically.
So what about her healing now? Is there hope there?
Absolutely. The good news, as we mentioned, is that her current merits her plan to create the Buddha image. The merit from Daniel's ordination flowing to her, and crucially, her own consistent daily meditation practice, are actively working to counteract that past karma.
So they're helping her.
Yes, they're said to be prolonging her life, giving her more time and opportunity for continued spiritual practice and purification. And Daniel can further help her healing process,
Oh.
but diligently focusing on his own practice, making the inner Buddha image within himself clear. Essentially, by intensifying his own spiritual purity, his commitment to the Dharma, he radiates that positive energy, which benefits those close to him, especially his mother.
So his spiritual growth directly supports her well-being. It really emphasizes how present actions can actively change a karmic trajectory. That's quite hopeful.
It is. It shows the power of present moment effort.
Okay. And the children's health conditions. Daniel's sister's allergies and his own asthma. These seem maybe less severe than cancer or alcoholism, but still impactful. How do they fit in?
They also have specific karmic origins outlined in the analysis. Daniel's sister's pollen allergies, the itchy eyes, the runny nose are attributed to verbal karma from a past life.
Verbal karma, what does that mean?
It means karma created through speech. Apparently, in a past life, she used to speak in ways that irritated people's hearts, like dust in the eye. Her words caused annoyance, discomfort, maybe friction,
Like grating on people's nerves with how she spoke.
something like that. So that subtle irritation caused by her words manifests now as a physical irritation, the allergies.
Fascinating. And Daniel's asthma.
His asthma is said to stem from using animal labor harshly in a past life. Specifically, he was a cavalry soldier who rode his horse relentlessly, pushing it until it was completely exhausted, causing the animal great distress and difficulty breathing.
Ah, so inflicting breathing difficulty on an animal.
Manifests as breathing difficulty for him now. Again, you see that direct, almost reflective quality between the past action and the present condition.
It really paints a picture where every action, even how we speak or how we treat animals, has a consequence. So what's the path to healing for them?
Well, alongside the standard advice of diligently caring for themselves, physically exercise, good diet, hydration, rest, there are specific karmic remedies.
Okay.
For the sister, the key is consciously practicing piyavacha, which means kind words or loving speech.
Hmm.
It's not just about being polite, it's about actively cultivating speech that soothes, harmonizes, and brings comfort, directly counteracting that past karma of irritating speech.
So changing the pattern of speech changes the karmic result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for Daniel, understanding the root in harming the horse means consciously practicing compassion and gentleness towards all beings, especially animals, in this life. Perhaps volunteering with animal welfare, or just being incredibly mindful of how he treats creatures around him, ensuring he doesn't cause them undue stress or exhaustion. It's about counteracting the past tendency with its opposite.
Those are very tangible, actionable steps, aren't they? Going beyond just managing symptoms to addressing the perceived root cause. Okay, now Daniel's monastic calling at 11 and being German, it feels quite unique. How does that fit into this whole karmic picture?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture of his life path, his really strong inclination towards becoming a monk, despite his cultural background, makes perfect sense when viewed through this karmic lens.
How so?
The analysis suggests he has actually ordained, become a monk in many previous lifetimes. So there's a deep familiarity, a deep-seated connection and comfort with that way of life already ingrained in him.
So it's not coming out of nowhere. It's like returning to something familiar.
Precisely. Plus, in this life, a very strong motivation for him is clearly his desire to bring happiness to his mother through his ordination, knowing how much she values it. That adds fuel to his intention.
Right, that connection is clear.
And he's strongly encouraged in the analysis to sustain this noble intention, to really commit to ordaining for life as he grows older, because that sustained commitment will greatly increase the power and merit generated by his ordination.
So it's like that spiritual path is deeply etched into his being from past experiences, and his current motivations are reinforcing it. Makes sense? And finally, what about the family's broader connection? They're linked to the monastic community in general.
That's also addressed. Both Daniel's mother and his sister are said to have served as supply lines in past lives, meaning they were supporters, donors, lay followers who helped sustain the monastic community.
Okay, so they have a connection.
Yes, but their support in the past is described as being according to their mood, sometimes supportive, sometimes not. This resulted in somewhat inconsistent or fluctuating connections to the Dharma and the community across their lifetimes.
So not a steady, unwavering support.
Right. Daniel, on the other hand, is described as having built significantly more merit with the monastic community compared to his mother and sister.
In what way?
He served not only as a supply line, a supporter, but also as a propagator of the Dharma, someone who actively helped teach or spread the Buddhist principles.
So a more active role.
A much more active role, building a stronger, deeper connection. And he's encouraged now to continue making merit consistently and significantly to dedicate his mind towards following the special circle of merit, realm of bodhisattvas.
The realm of bodhisattvas, what does that imply?
It implies aiming for a very high spiritual path, one associated with beings who are dedicated to achieving enlightenment, not just for their own liberation, but for the liberation and benefit of all living beings. A path of great compassion and wisdom.
So a much higher spiritual aspiration is seen as potential for him.
Yes, based on his past efforts and current inclinations.
Okay, wow. Let's try and unpack all of this then. This deep dive into Daniel's case, it really has shown us just how profoundly intertwined our past actions seem to be with our present experiences, according to this framework.
It really lays it out quite starkly.
Yeah, from the father's really tragic path, seemingly rooted in that past life suicide pattern and fueled by his current life addictions, to the mother's kidney illness, which is linked back so specifically to that past act of usury and causing physical harm.
Hmm.
And even down to the children's ailments, the allergies and asthma, reflecting those more subtle, maybe verbal and physical karmas with speech and animals. Every single detail seems to paint this vivid picture of interconnected consequences, potentially spanning lifetimes.
It's a perspective that suggests very little happens randomly.
Right. It's quite humbling, actually. A reminder that actions, both the ones that seem huge and the ones that seem small, could potentially ripple through time and shape our realities in ways we don't usually consider.
Definitely gives you pause for thought.
It does, yet at the same time, it also powerfully highlights the immense power of our present actions, doesn't it?
Absolutely, that's the crucial counterpoint.
The mother's consistent meditation, her intention to create that Buddha image, Daniel's really strong aspiration to ordain for life. These aren't just passive footnotes. They are presented as active forces shaping their destinies now. They offer clear paths toward healing, toward peace, and toward further spiritual growth.
It shows that the trajectory isn't fixed. Choice remains.
Exactly. So it's not just a story about inevitable consequences, but it's also a testament, really, to the ongoing opportunity we have for conscious choice, for change, for growth, literally in every moment.
Which I think leads us to a really important question, maybe for everyone listening, even if we aren't thinking specifically in terms of past lives in this detailed way.
Okay, what's that?
Well, considering the profound impact attributed here to even seemingly minor actions, like words that just irritate someone's heart, like the dust in the eye, or exhausting an animal through our work or demands, what everyday choices might we be making right now?
Hmm.
In our speech, maybe in our jobs, just in our daily interactions? Choices that might be quietly, subtly shaping our own karmic landscape, our own future experiences, whether it's for tomorrow or perhaps even for futures further down the line.
That's a powerful thought to end on. What ripples are we creating right now, maybe without even realizing the full extent?
Exactly. It's something worth meditating on, I think, and exploring within our own lives.